Bradley J. Travel. Today is Russia. I'm just going to go ahead and do this in one take. I have arranged the images, and the images won't necessarily match up to the story because in some cases the story is long and the images are short. Are you ready? Here we go. I got to go to Moscow with WBCN to see the Rolling Stones because Budweiser was involved in a promotion to bring people and DJs from, I think, 25 markets to Russia as part of a promotion to see the Stones in Moscow. Why did I get chosen? Probably because I was into it. Prior to 1990, I had expressed an interest in a DJ exchange program because early on I wanted to travel, and I actually wrote out on official WBCN stationery proposal paper that there should be a DJ exchange program with DJs from Eastern Europe, and I would go and work there, and some DJs from Eastern Europe like the Czech Republic or whatever would come to BCN. Well, that didn't happen, but nobody laughed at me, and that was one of the cool things about WBCN. You were encouraged to have ideas and share them, and sometimes they came to pass. Now, this one didn't, but as a result, I had shown an interest in traveling to kind of that area, so I was chosen. And I went with Oedipus and two winners from the Boston market. We went through Toronto to Helsinki to Moscow. Toronto was unremarkable, except we did meet Liza Minnelli's dog. We met Liza Minnelli's dog, purportedly. Then we went to Helsinki and were to stay there for a night before going on to Moscow, maybe 2 nights, I don't know. But something happened, and the Stones were no longer scheduled to play in Moscow. And since it is a contest and you have to make good on a contest, the organizers had to arrange it so that the winners, if you will, could see the Rolling Stones, because that was part of the contest. You just couldn't say, sorry, you can't see the Stones. So they had to ferry those listeners and the people that wanted to see the Stones over to Copenhagen. Oedipus had been to Copenhagen, and I was fine with staying in Helsinki, so we just hung out in Helsinki, and I'm glad we did. We went to a bath, one of those hot, steamy baths where they have steam rooms and they whack your back with birch branches, or maybe you flagellate yourself with the birch branches. I don't know, but there were definitely birch branches involved. Wonderful place, nice people. And then we went on to Moscow on Aeroflot. Aeroflot's pretty interesting. I'll tell you the whole story of maybe I should tell you the story now. Aeroflot. The real surprise came on the way back, but on the way over, we did notice that the pilots seemed to be very aggressive when it came to taking off and flying. Like when you would turn, you'd be completely on your side. You look out the window and think it was the sky, but it was the ocean. Really aggressive taking off and flying, but very gentle landing because there was a shortage of rubber and they couldn't replace their tires, so they couldn't be burning the rubber off the tires. On the way back, there was evidence of that because when we got on the airplane, you could, walking up the steps, you could look at the tires and see that there was canvas showing. Canvas. Like the rubber was gone, like when you were a kid and your bike tire was about to pop. Before it popped, you could see canvas. That was one of the inner layers. Also, when it comes to the plane, it was very primitive. The door to the cockpit was wooden door, and it had a little round porthole. The escape mechanism was a rope with knots in it. The floor didn't have carpet, really. It just had really cheap plastic, which wasn't adhered down, and it was shifting around, so you could see the plywood floor. Trust me, most of you, if you saw this airplane, if you got on this airplane, would freak. By the way, there's the hotel we were staying at. Speaking of the rubber, and a shortage of rubber, on the way home from the airport, it started to rain, and an interesting thing happened. That folks had to stop and put on their windshield wipers. Rubber was at such a premium, and there was such a shortage of rubber that your windshield wipers would get stolen if you let them on. So at the first sign of rain, traffic would completely stop. Everyone would get out, stick on their windshield wipers, and then resume. Also, as an aside, my luggage got stolen somewhere between Helsinki and Moscow, which isn't easy. It's not that far. Oedipus had his luggage go missing too, but he got his back. I did not, which was a bummer because my father's camera was in that luggage and all my clothes and stuff. You'll notice I wear a Jesus and Mary Chain t-shirt a lot. It's because it's the only t-shirt I had. All right, let's get on with the stories. About the hotel. The stories you heard, at least in 1990, about each floor having an older woman at a desk that would take your passport when you were there and make you... How did that work? She would make you leave your key there while you were there, and they would take your passport when you left or something like that. They kept a strict eye on you. And the hotel was the same hotel used in the Olympics, and you know it was packed with bugs. It was standard knowledge. Everyone said, yes, totally, your hotel is completely bugged. The subway was spectacular. Oedipus went down in the subway, I think, on the very first night. I was stupid and took a nap. Oedipus was an experienced traveler at the time, said, do not take a nap. I took a nap anyway and regretted it because I had jet lag for a long time after that. He was smart, had some espresso, and went out exploring, went to Lenin's tomb, went into the subway. The subways were beautiful, immaculate, with high art in them, folk art, I should say, and chandeliers and beautiful lighting and no graffiti. I imagine if you defaced the subway, you would go to jail, or worse. There was not a splotch of anything on the subway. I did meet a woman, someone who I'm guessing wanted to get married and come back to the States and be a citizen. And here's how it worked. There was a department store in Red Square called GUM, G-U-M, and I was in there looking at their wares, which are not very impressive. And a woman came up and said, can I help you find anything? I said, no. And she said, what about anywhere in the city? What can I help you find? And at first I couldn't think of anything. Then I said, I want some military stuff. I want, the sew-on badges and whatever else they may have. And she said, well, I happen to know a place. So she took me to this place. It was on the down low. She had to lie to the kind of bouncer, doorman, guard to get in, saying her brother was in the military and she was buying stuff. And we went up there, and I bought some stuff. And just as I was finishing up, everyone ran away. It was like a panic. I'm not sure why. Maybe it was an illegal place. Maybe some authorities were coming, but all of a sudden, everyone disappeared, and we disappeared too. I did get a couple of cool patches, sew-on patches, among other stuff. I got a lot of pins, but the patch that I like best is a Russian radio operator patch. I got 2 of them. More about the woman. We hung out. She took me to Moscow University, and we walked around a lot. We rode the subway a lot. We rode the trams a lot and talked a lot. So I got to know an actual Russian person. She wanted me to go to her house for dinner, and I was an idiot and did not. I can't figure out why, other than I was just stupid. I wish I had. But, maybe that was a little more intimate than I wanted to get. There might have been more baggage along with that dinner than just dinner. So maybe it was good that I didn't go. We ate a lot of caviar. Oedipus and I were two of the few people who liked caviar. And on the tables at each place setting was an appetizer of caviar. You know, real caviar. And since the other folks didn't like it, they gave it to us. So there were 100 people. I don't know, maybe 80 of them did not like caviar. And we were able to stuff our face with as much caviar as we wanted. It had to be thousands of dollars worth of caviar. The place settings were interesting. Lots of bottled water. Very ornate place settings. And the food was good. We were celebrities there. We were, American broadcasters associated in their mind with the Rolling Stones. So we got great treatment and great food. We actually got to go to a party, a sort of pre-party at which I understand were a lot of Communist Party mid-level, maybe upper-level bosses and women. And they were interspersed at the various tables. And, we made conversation with these Communist Party bosses. The party, I believe, was sponsored by Budweiser, too. At least there was supposed to be, as I understand it, Budweiser for the people to have. But there was not, because the Budweiser was stolen, and someone looked out the window, and down on the street, the girls down there, the women, were drinking Budweiser. It had made its way somehow down to the street level, not for us. We did get to broadcast from Moscow to the United States and all 11 time zones in the Soviet Union. That was really something. And the Russian organizers, the people on the ground there, seemed to like Oedipus and me because we tried not to act like a-holes. I gotta say, a lot of the other broadcasters were kind of jerky and asked really jerky questions, like sophomoric questions to the interviewer from Moscow. But we had respect for them and they appreciated it. And during our interview, they gave us each a bowl, like a cereal bowl full of caviar. A couple of other memories. One is the drink machine. I have told this story many times. I'll tell it again. The vending machine there to get a drink it did not serve cans. It served just liquid. And you drank the liquid using a glass that was used by everyone. There was one glass on the little, on the shelf there in the machine. And if you wanted some of the stuff, you put in some rubles. It squirted out some Zarex-like sugary colored fluid into the glass. You would drink it out of the glass, rinse it maybe, I don't know, maybe not, and put it back for the next person to use. So basically the entire city was using one glass. And Oedipus boldly declared he was a program director of the people and would drink out of the glass of the people, and so he did. We did go to Gorky Park, and at Gorky Park there was a circus with a giant tent. And during the circus performance, a huge thunderstorm came. It was very hot and muggy there, but then a huge thunderstorm came, like torrential downpour, and it was right nearby, very loud. So much rain that the big circus tent, the big top, partially collapsed on the crowd and dumped lots of water on the crowd. I don't remember if we got wet or not. The tent did not fall on us, but we might have gotten wet from it. Well, there you go. That's the trip to Russia. I'm forever grateful to Oedipus for bringing me along. He is a wonderful travel partner, experienced and excellent, and taught me a lot. He taught me a lot about radio. He taught me a lot, including traveling. So there you go. If you dug this video, if you like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel and click on the bell to get notified of future posts. And remember, always travel lightly.